Poetry, including his latest, If Jesus Was Gay, and other poems. And he's right here, right now. He's about to do his thing, so I need you to do what he's doing. Start picking up the energy. And be welcome to the mic, Emanuel Xavier.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
All right.
I am going to share a brand new poem.
Oh, yeah, new shit. New shit.
I've actually never read this in public, but relax, I'm reading a signature poem too after that.
Okay.
So, Mariconcito.
Wow. You know what that means? Well, you know what that means.
Was what his stepfather called him. He was not even a teen, and yet it was evident that he had no physical attraction to girls. Besides the fact that he was quite effeminate. He liked to read books and was soft-spoken, strange. He was identified as gay before he even knew what the word meant. Sitting in the back seat of his stepfather's car, pretending not to hear him. Dime la verdad, eres maricón, were the words reserved for him when his mother was out shopping as they waited in that vehicle. He was embarrassed to let her know of his torment and knew she would beat him if she suspected. No one ever asked how he felt or took the time to figure out what was going on with him. He had already learned to survive this way by keeping silent about how his older cousin entered him from behind when he was much younger. He had no friends and dreamt of the day his real father would come to save him from this hell. He was meant to be a prince and didn't belong here. He imagined his father to be a great king that would have this vagrant man his stepfather killed when he found out how much pain he had caused his beloved son. He watched the fathers on television and wondered if Michael Landon or Mr. Brady or that guy from 8 is Enough might be missing a little Latin boy in their lives. When he watched E.T., he thought perhaps his father was an alien who came from another planet where it was okay to have a crush on his schoolmate, Matthew Bello. He prayed to a heavenly father every night at the edge of his sofa bed in the living room that the man doing the same things to his mother in the bedroom that his cousin had done to him would soon die. He had actual conversations with the so-called heavenly father, only to wake up each morning to find his stepfather was still there, usually hungover from too much drinking. Maricón, mariconcito, nena. He was forced to go to school to hear the English translation of these words from other boys. Mariconcito learned to exist in a fantasy world and was smart enough to survive, sure that someday a real man would save him from stupidity. He just smiled aware that one day the joke would be undone. And I want to take the time to congratulate the Inspired Word for 2 years of excellence in keeping spoken word poetry and poetry alive. And I'm going to dedicate this one to Mike Geffner because I know it's his favorite from me. And it's called The Death of Art. And it's dedicated to Harold Bloom, also, who first called slam poetry the death of art. And one of his quotes is, "Reading well is one of the great pleasures that solitude can afford you." I am not a poet. I want to be rich and buy things for my family. Besides, I'm sort of popular and can honestly say I've had a great sex life. I am not a poet. Georgia O'Keeffe paintings do absolutely nothing for me. I do not feel oppressed or depressed and no longer have anything to say about the president. I am not a poet. I do not like to be called an activist because it takes away from those that are actually out on the streets protesting and fighting for our rights. I am not a poet. I eat poultry and fish and suck way too much dick to be considered a vegetarian.
All right.
Wow! I am not a poet. I would most likely give my ass up in prison before trying to save it with poetry. I like it. Heck, I'd probably be inspired. I am not a poet. I may value peace, but I not simply use a pen to unleash my anger. I am not a poet. I may have been abused and had a difficult life, but I do not want pity. I believe laughter and love heals. I am not a poet. I am not dying. I write a lot about AIDS and how it has affected my life, but despite the rumors, I am not positive. Believe it or not, weight loss among sexually active gay men could still be a choice. I am not a poet. I do not get Kerouac or honestly care much for Bukowski. I am not a poet. I don't spend my weekends reading and writing. I like to go out and party. I like to have a few cocktails, but I do not have a drinking problem, regardless of what borough, city, or state I may wake up in. I am not a poet. I can seriously only tolerate about half an hour spoken word before I start tuning out and thinking about my grocery list or what my cat is up to. I am not a poet. I only do poetry events if I know there will be cute guys there, and I always carry business cards. I am not a poet according to the scholars and academics and Harold Bloom. I only write to masturbate my mind. After all, fucking yourself is one of the great pleasures that solitude can afford you. I am not a poet. I am only trying to get attention and convince myself that poetry can save lives when my words simply and proudly contribute to the death of art. Thank you.